Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2021 Chevy Blazer RS. With all that being said, let's get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 308 horsepower and then 270 pound-feet of torque. Let's go over the front end of the Blazer. So first off, this is finished in silver ice metallic. I absolutely love this color on the Blazer. You can see here in the sunlight just the cool effects you get with the body lines as well. Looks really good. Now coming down below, we've got these full LED lights here for the accent lights, and then we actually have the headlights down below in this area. Notice how they've blacked out the whole front grille for the RS package. Got the blacked out Chevy bow tie as well, and the black accenting continues here on the bottom. And yes, it really does look like they basically just turned the Camaro into an SUV. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 35mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. As for the design on the wheels, I think they look absolutely fantastic. We've got this like satin finish on the center portion with the silver ring on the outside, and overall looks really cool. Kind of reminds me of like a flower or a leaf in a way. And then notice how the black accenting continues all the way along and then down the side, so like it's completely unbroken. Got the Blazer logo right there, and then notice we've got the black racks there at the top, and then here we've got more black accenting right there for the pillar, and just overall it looks really good, especially from the side angle right here. Let's pop here into the back of the Blazer, and you guys can see storage space is fantastic. There's so much room back here, and we do get a spare tire underneath. We've got these little cubbies on either side, which is definitely a cool feature. And then that is just to pull down the seat, so you just do that and then the seat will fall down. And well, if you're shorter than me, then it'll go all the way down because you won't have to have the front seat so far. But yeah, storage space is amazing. If you guys are wondering the size that this actually is, similar to like Jeep Grand Cherokee in terms of the actual size of the SUV. And boom. Now let's finish things up in the rear of the Blazer. So first off, I absolutely love the taillights with the Blazer. They just have a really cool aesthetic to them, and yeah, super unique overall. Look absolutely fantastic. We've got our Blazer all-wheel drive badge, RS badge on the other side, and then notice the Chevy logo has been blacked out. And then notice they do a little bit of black accenting, so it actually makes it look like the roof is kind of floating in a way, because you have the black right there, and then you've got the black pillars on the front, so then you just have the silver there on the top. I think that's a pretty cool design touch, but yeah, that's everything for the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. So notice that we've got the red accenting right here. They kind of have that theme all throughout the RS with the interior. We've got the black leather, and then coming here to the seats, we've got these full leather seats. I love the design they've done, so hopefully this comes through in camera. Notice that you've got kind of like the red in the background inside of the perforations, and then you've got the red accenting with the stitching and then the piping. I think that looks so cool. Nice attention to detail. And then notice we've got the vents right here. We've got a little charging area, and then, well, what are those? Of course, we gotta say that. Headroom, great back here. I mean, it's really spacious back here. Very comfortable for adults. And then notice, you've got a couple cup holders. But yeah, let's head to the front. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front. So again, we've got all the really nice leather padding right here with the stitching that goes all across. And they've got both our window controls right here with our mirror adjustments. And you can see the door handle. I love the metallic trim all around it. This does come with memory seats. And then notice that you've got the different settings there for the rear hatch. You've got the Bose sound system. And then just like the back seats, here with the front seats, again, you've got the perforated leather with kind of like the red background, I guess is what we will call it. And then we do have fully power adjustable seats. Here is the pedal layout just down below. We've got that for the parking brake, and then light controls just up above. The steering wheel is automatically adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's our steering wheel for the Blazer RS. We've got really nice soft touch leather around the whole steering wheel. We've got contrasted red stitching on the center portion. We've got our voice command phone control on that side, and we've got controls there for the center stack. And then over here we've got like our cruise control, for example, heated steering wheel button, and the collision assistance, blacked out Chevy bow tie. Got a little stock for the turn signal, and then windshield wiper stock on the other side. Radio controls there on the back of the steering wheel as well, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster with the Blazer RS. First off, here with the center screen, there's a couple different menus you can scroll through that give you different bits of information on the vehicle. My favorite is the fact that it'll show you whether you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. We'll get into the drive modes in just a moment, but it actually shows you that little screen right there, and then you can have it be a digital speedo. But yeah, overall great. And then you guys can see the average fuel economy, 21 miles per gallon, which is right where the average is supposed to be from the manufacturer. So it's pretty cool. You can actually get the EPA rating. But aside from that, so we've got a couple different drive modes. First off, we've got our four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive mode, but it just says X4, and you guys will see the dial in a little bit. And then from that, we've got our sport mode, and then we have our off-road mode, and then finally we have our towing mode as well. But obviously, based on kind of how this car looks on the exterior and with the ground clearance and everything, the off-road mode, right, it's cool that it has it, but you're probably not going to be doing a whole lot of off-roading with it, but obviously it can do it. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, notice we've got the backup camera that'll pop up, and we've got trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and then we do have the bird's eye view as well, which I have to mention this. I mentioned this on Instagram. I think this is hilarious. Notice how we have a sunroof here with a little depiction of the Blazer, and it's even silver, so you're like, that's pretty cool. There's no sunroof. Like, it's okay. It's like not that big of an oversight, but I still think that's hilarious, so I had to mention it. But the camera system is amazing. Resolution is fantastic, and you literally have camera views out of every single angle of the Blazer. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Chevy's camera system, and the Blazer has their most advanced camera system, and so yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It makes parking this super easy. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Chevy's infotainment systems. First off, because response time is fantastic. Comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Also comes with Alexa now, and then Spotify. Well, that's pretty cool. But you have a little shortcut button to the camera system, and then for the climate controls, we do get a dual zone climate system, and it has the coolest climate buttons. You guys will see that in just a moment. We have analog controls right here down below the infotainment system, and then our auto stop, start, and hazard lights are just right next to that. Hopefully you guys can see that. Sorry about the sun today. Apologize, sun. Anyways, we've got the glove box over here, and then we've got the stability control, and yes, there is a glove box button. Like, that's how you open up the glove box, is through a button. We are living the life of luxury today, folks. So we have the whole climate section down here, which is pretty neat. It has heated and cooled seats for the front passengers. Like I said, dual zone climate, and it has the trick climate controls from the Camaro. So this is how you increase or decrease the temperatures by spinning the vent. I think that is so cool. Like, I don't know, it's just my favorite thing to do whenever I get into a Camaro or a Blazer now. And then notice we have a little charging port right there, wireless phone charger that actually holds your phone in place. Automakers that are not GM, please take notes, because most automakers make phone charging pads that don't hold your phone in place. It's a big deal to me. And then we do have the shifter for that 9-speed automatic. It does have some low range. And then this is our drive mode select I was telling you about, with how the different controls look. We've got our parking sensors, a lane departure assistance, couple cup holders right here, and then we've got more of that nice metallic trim. And then finally, we've got the center console right here. Already showed you guys the glove box. Last thing is this does have the camera mirror. You guys know, huge fan of this. It just helps out so much, and especially if you have kids, if they're being rowdy in the back, or if they're in car seats, right, they could block quite a bit of visibility, and so this just gets around all of that. So here's our window sticker for the 2021 Blazer RS. You guys can see again, we've got the silver ice metallic and then jet black interior. But here are all the options. Well, actually, this is the standard equipment, rather. If you want to read through everything that comes as standard, feel free to freeze the frame. And then you guys can see the options this particular one has. And then the total MSRP, it's cut off a little bit, but it's just a couple zeros. $48,380. Let's take her out and see how she drives. Gotta hold it down. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in the Blazer RS. So there's your visibility over the hood, both of the mirrors, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And with all that being said, let's set off. So this is just to show you guys why this needs to be rear wheel drive. You just roast the front tires whenever you floor it, when you have it in the two-wheel drive mode. Obviously, if you're being a normal, considerate human being, you're not going to be punching it off the line every single time, but it's kind of funny. That being said, we are going to pop it over into the sport mode, which when you're in the sport mode, it actually has it in the all-wheel drive mode so that you get better grip. And then it also kind of makes it so the transmission will hold it in a little bit of a lower gear so you get more power. But I'll get back to you guys once we're a little bit farther up the canyon. So let's talk about this 2021 Chevy Blazer. So before I talk about the driving dynamics within this canyon, I just want to talk about the daily drivability of the Blazer. So first off, in terms of just like around town driving, it actually does a really good job. It's really quiet with the engine, and this 9-speed automatic is really good at putting it right in the power band where you need it. It's really smooth, it's really quick to shift as well, and overall it just gives you a really nice, comfortable driving experience when you're driving around town. And again, it gets the fuel economy that the EPA rates it at, and so yeah, it actually gets pretty good gas mileage for being a bigger SUV. And that's something about the Blazer, is it's deceivingly large. Like on the outside, because of all the sharp edges and everything, it doesn't look like it's that big of an SUV, but once you pop inside, it's actually pretty big. So yeah, decent amount of space and all of that. And in terms of the comfort, when you're in this car for quite some time, it actually is still very comfortable. The seats are really comfortable. It's got air conditioned seats, which are great for the summertime. It's got heated seats, which would be great for the winter. But overall, it's a really comfortable car to be in. These seats, even after longer trips, they're still very comfortable. They're really supportive, but they're just soft enough that it doesn't feel like you're sitting on a box or anything like that. Now, aside from all of that, on the interstate, this car actually does a really good job. Now, it doesn't have the greatest passing power, right? It's got only about 300 horsepower, a little bit over that, but it's got decent passing power, and it's smooth at high speeds, and it just does a really good job on the highway overall. And so just as a highway cruiser, it does great, especially if your interstates are in that 70 to 80 mile an hour range. It'll do fantastic, and a lot of you probably have roads that aren't even that fast. Now, aside from that, if I go to kind of like the practicality of this, it's been fantastic, especially that trunk space being so large. It's just, you can fit so much stuff into it, and I just think that that is just perfect, especially if you're looking for an SUV to kind of carry around to kids. If you only have like, you know, 1 or 2 kids, which is most people nowadays, then it's great because you have the 2 kids in the back, and then you can fit all your stuff behind them. And so yeah, really good with that. Now, let's talk about the, I guess, fun driving dynamics here with the Blazer. So yes, it is a front-wheel drive based SUV, and when you have it in the two-wheel drive mode, it drives like a front-wheel drive SUV. But when you put it over to the sport mode, it completely transforms how it feels from a driving characteristic perspective. In terms of the steering, it's very direct. You don't really get feel through the steering rack itself, but it's got a good amount of directness to it. And then on top of that, with the all-wheel drive system, it gets really good grip. And because this is kind of lower to the ground, right, it's not the best off-road, but on-road it handles fantastic. I mean, you guys can see around these corners here, if I punch it, it goes through the corner really well. It actually handles pretty flat. And so from a driving dynamic standpoint, it actually does a really good job, again, in that all-wheel drive mode. If you don't have it in the all-wheel drive mode, a little bit of a different story. And then in terms of the power, if you guys are wondering, at this point in the canyon, we're probably at about 6,000 to probably about 6,500, actually 6,500 feet elevation. And this engine is still doing a really good job. The power delivery is smooth. The 9-speed automatic is really good at putting it in the proper gear, so you actually have power and torque. And it's quick enough to shift that if you're not in the right gear, boom, boom, you're in the right gear, and then you can get some power and you can actually accelerate. And so at elevation, it actually has pretty good passing power. Now, obviously, being naturally aspirated, we will get a little bit of power loss with the Blazer, but it is not bad whatsoever, to be completely honest. And that'll get me into summing things up here with this new Blazer from a driving perspective, and hopefully you guys like that little launch at the beginning. So it's very comfortable. The cabin's well insulated. Ride quality is really smooth with the Blazer as well. It's great on the highway. It's great around town. Tons of storage space, and it's got really good tech as well. I mean, you guys saw with the camera mirror, all that kind of stuff. Tons of safety tech, and overall, it's just a really good, well-rounded vehicle. And so if you're looking for an SUV that gives you kind of like luxury SUV amenities, amenities, right? The air-conditioned seats and the fact that it's got the cool vents, because that's a luxury amenity, but the dual zone climate, right? And the camera mirror, right? I feel like that's kind of like more of like a luxury tech item. Then the Blazer has all of that, and it's got relatively fun driving dynamics once you have it over into the sport mode. But understand that if you have it in your normal two-wheel drive mode, you will get better fuel economy, but it just won't be as exciting to drive. But overall, I'd say that the new Blazer is a pretty well-rounded package in the segment. The one big critique that I'd have to say about the Blazer is I wish that they would just give it an option to have a more powerful engine. You've got the 2-liter turbo, you have this one that has the 3.6-liter V6, but there's no V8 option, and there's no, you know, bigger turbocharged option. I think that they should offer this with at least the 5.3 V8 as an option, because I think that this would be such a fun vehicle with that engine, and maybe they can make it rear-wheel drive based instead of front-wheel drive, but you know, whatever, that's past the point. And yeah, that is the new Blazer, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the Canyon views. Now, that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Chevy Blazer. And yeah, I will see all of you guys in that next video.